Good morning, everybody. Welcome to He Set Me Free. My name is Robert. I am coming quite early today. It's 4:16 in the morning because I wrote my journal this morning, and little did I know that the entire entry would tie into itself. It's called the system. Excuse me. And I go on and I talk about Uber and Lyft, and then I talk about my life in general. And what I find it to be so interesting is how the two are so interchangeable. Bear with me. Have you ever watched the movie The Matrix? Okay. You can either take the blue pill or you can take the red pill. You can either stay asleep and stay plugged into the system, or you can take the red pill and come unplugged and be awakened to what's going on in reality. Isn't life like that? We go through life taking the blue pill. We're oblivious to what's going on around us. Our lives are locked in our cell phones, on our computers, in day-to-day living, kids, family, sports, whatever. All right. But at some point, you may become awakened. You take the red pill. And then you see the reality of what's going on around you. How everything has kept you from your calling in life. What you wanted to do. Your destiny. Whatever the case may be. What I find interesting is, like yesterday is a prime example. No matter how hard I tried to beat the system on Uber, I still failed. Why? Because of their subtleness. The system is very subtle if you don't notice it. This is how Satan works. It's subtle. This is how addiction takes place. It's subtle. This is how depression takes place. It's subtle at first. Anxiety, it's subtle. But then before you know it, you're chained. You're in bondage. You're in slavery to the system, to whatever it is that binds you. All right? The way that Uber and Lyft is set up is exactly, to be quite honest, how the enemy uses his tactics. Now, it's a little bit of a stretch, but if you really think about it, it makes sense. Because you become addicted and you don't know anything else. And by the time you wake up and you realize what's going on, it's too late. But then it's aggravating and you become jaded, like with Uber. Whenever you start to know the miles to the earnings ratio in your day, there's nothing that you can really do about it. It's a done deal. Lyft is no better. I've often talked about consistently the subtle things that they do, the gaslighting or gaslighting, how they manipulate the rides to get you to accept those rides. Now, Uber's no better because what they do is they flash minutes in trip. But if you look down in the little gray area that you can barely see, you have the miles to pick up and the location for which you're going to travel to once that passenger is in car. They never give addresses, ever, and they never show destination. This is all part of the blue pill. Lyft is the same way. Take the blue pill. But a lot of drivers, I think, are starting to awaken to Lyft's tactics, which is why I consistently get the rejected rides. Because they're starting to take the red pill. In life is the exact same thing. For years, dealing with alcohol addiction, I took the blue pill. Relationships, I took the blue pill. Life, I took the blue pill. And now that I'm taking the red pill and I'm wanting out of my current situation, Satan is fighting me with everything he's got to prevent that from happening. Me desiring to leave Waco, Texas. There's nothing here for me anymore. It's a dead end. This is a place where you come and die. You don't live life. You merely exist. That's life in general for a lot of people, especially if you're doing rideshare. You will never be successful the way that you perceive success to be as long as you do rideshare. But what I have found, just like with previous attempts to change my situation and to make myself better, it's a constant failure. What I find too is whenever I get home at the end of my day, I'm tired, I'm exhausted, I don't want to do anything. Plus, I'm limited. How many of us out there are limited by our circumstance? Meaning, like with me, I can't do everything that I want to do because I have data caps, because I'm in the country. I can't get access to normal internet at all. Now, I'm thinking about HughesNet, which is 200 gigs a month of priority, and then once you use that up, it slows down. I need to ask them about that. How much does it slow down to doing the things that I want to do? Now, by all accounts, I won't be able to watch movies or anything like that. But if I can switch between priority data and normal data, if I can turn those two on and off according to my needs, then that's all the better. Because if I can have that plus my Cricket that I have, then that'll give me 450 gigs of data a month. And then I can pretty much do whatever I want to do. I can use Cricket to stream movies and things like that, and I can use HughesNet for my internet stuff. It's $65 a month. So it's something worth looking into. Sometimes you have to sacrifice if you want to excel. All right. My biggest problem and what binds me is whenever I have to go to the grocery store. This is kind of like my Achilles tendon. I have to go back to the grocery store today because I need coffee. But I'm not going to H-E-B. I'm going to go to Walmart's. I have noticed that inflation, that's what is hurting a lot of Americans. But that's another point in and of itself. But as we move through life, we begin to get comfortable and we get in these ruts. That's where the blue pill lives. When you start to try to get out of those ruts and to make yourself a better person, maybe do a career shift, move to a different area, start all over. At that point, you're starting to take the red pill and you're starting to waken up because you're tired of the norm. All too often, years have passed, and then we realize, how much of my life have I wasted? Literally, how much of my life have I wasted? Because I got caught up in that blue pill scenario. This is where Satan wants us, especially Christians. Now, I started to touch on it yesterday, but I didn't quite get to it. I kind of skimmed over it. Over the past couple weeks, I've really struggled with my faith. And I started asking a lot of different questions. How do you pray against something when you know it's not going to change? Driving for Uber and Lyft. That the money's not going to get any better, that you're going to have to drive excessive amount of miles, that you're going to have to be putting gas in your car literally every day, and it leaves you trapped in your situation. How do you pray against that? Or how do you pray against from keeping or getting the same passengers time in and time out? Or getting thrown into these areas that you want no part of? My biggest problem that I have is the very areas that I get caught in is exactly how I grew up. Poor, impoverished, enslaved to the system. Parents that didn't care about me. Showed very little affection. And only knew to either not deal with or beaten, severe spankings, groundings. And I had to go through life figuring it out on my own. My coping skills were developed very early in life. And I learned very early in life that I could not depend upon the people that gave birth to me or conceived, whatever. So I find myself in these exact same situations that I'm trying to get out of because I've always envisioned myself having a better life. From the earliest of ages, I've always had the same kind of dream. Consistently. Where I was in control. I was the one calling the shots. I had wealth, power. I guess that goes, if you really psychoanalyze it, the way that I've always been treated my entire life. Where I always felt that I didn't have a voice, but in my dreams, I had the voice. Where I always looked over, looked past, disrespected. But now that I'm trying to teach myself something different and something new, the devil's throwing everything that he has at me because he's trying to keep me in the very areas that I'm trying to get away from and I'm trying to escape. It's not about being accepted. It's about me tired of the same old, of being limited, being felt that I was being purposely and willfully and sinisterly held back. That's the way that I look at it. Oftentimes enough, whenever I'm out on the roads, I feel like I'm being held back. When things don't seem to go the way that they had the day before, being held back. And that's exactly how I feel a lot of times in my life. Like I'm walking through a swamp or through sludge that I have to fight for every step that I take. But what I'm finding, even as I'm teaching myself arithmetic, if you will, and I'm starting to grasp onto it, and that I really like it, I find it exciting, that maybe that this was the path initially I was supposed to take. But Satan knew early on, from the time that I took breath on this earth and going all the way through the would-be educational system here in Waco, Texas, that if he could take and put me in classes where I would never succeed and where I would never be given a chance to learn or to be taught or educated, you pick the term, and where I was the outcast, where I never fit in, where students and teachers alike bullied me, tormented me, and made fun of me, to the point to where I just really didn't care anymore. But then I go and I join the military. The exact same scenario. Because of my formative years, I had issues there. And then I'd go into the Marine Corps, where I would succeed, but things happen. And then I would get out, and by then I had a family and children, and it was all about survival. And then I came out as being gay. And I was forced to come back to Texas. Bad situation. But I wanted out of that situation so bad that the first guy I could move in with, my ex-husband, I moved in with. So I went from bad situation to worst situation to where I am right now. But it took all of that, taking the blue pill, for me to finally start taking the red pill. And it wasn't until I gave my life back to Jesus Christ that the red pill, my faith, woke me up. And then I start questioning a lot of different things, and I start seeing things that I'd never noticed before. I'd always had my hunches and I'd always say things, but I never put two and two together. It wasn't until I started collecting data that I really saw the purpose of the blue pill, the matrix system, the AI system, the algorithm system, and how it all correlates to even in life, to be quite honest. So you can't pray against the system. All you can do is try to leave the system, which is what I'm trying to do. And I will do, one way or another. Whenever I leave Waco, I will never come back. I have no reason to ever come back. There was a purpose why I left Waco so many years ago. But bad choices, getting divorced, brought me back. And life in and of itself is all about choices as well too. Oftentimes enough we think we're making the right choice and we're not. Or we make bad choices because of the circumstances we're in. And then we're like, if I could have only made a different choice. If I could have only done things a little differently, then things might be different now. Would they? If we would have turned left instead of turning right, would things have been different? If we would have kept going straight instead of backing up, would things have been different? Seriously. Why is it some people are so successful and the others of us that are born into poverty stay in poverty? Choices? Because we lacked the proper upbringing to allow us to succeed in life? We continuously play the victim card? Or we didn't take advantage of the opportunities that were afforded us in the first place, and we screwed that up because of decisions from the past and circumstances from the past that we did what we thought we had to do to survive. So we go through life making the exact same decisions and dealing with the exact same blue or red pills, blue pills more than likely, because we know no better. It's what we know. It's ingrained to us. It's part of our DNA. But make no mistake, you have that little devil whispering in your ear. And then you make that decision and find out that it was a bad one. That's where faith comes into play. You have to pray about it. You have to meditate. You have to ask God directly. And you have to wait on Him to respond, if He even does. You have to search the Word of God for the right responses and to the answers that you're looking for. Or just ask the Holy Spirit. But there are systems in place devised by the devil himself that purposely and willfully keep people down, keep them impoverished, enslave them to addictions of every kind, and entrap them within their own minds, because you know you should be doing better, but you're not. How many of us time and time again ask ourselves or think to ourselves, you thought you was going to be a lot farther in life than you are now? I am thoroughly convinced that if it was not for my ex-husband and all that drama and me becoming an alcoholic, which I take responsibility for, that I would still be employed with SpaceX. That I would have prospered there. But the devil, knowing, created situations and used people against me so that I would fail. I've always known that I had greatness inside of me. I've always known. Because there are a lot of things that I'm really good at doing. My mind is extremely analytical. I'm a problem solver. I'm good at math. I just never knew how to apply it properly because, why? One, I was never taught properly. Two, I was in an educational system that only allowed those that it wanted to succeed, and those that it did not want to be bothered with, it threw into resource systems, second-class education systems. If it determined that you was a problem person, then it threw you into the back ways, the hallways, the alleyways, where it did not have to deal with you at all. And subsequently, being children, we know no better to say, you know what? No. I deserve better than this. I want to learn, but you're refusing to give me the opportunities because you simply want tax dollars for me being here. So now I'm teaching myself math, and I will teach myself calculus, and I will probably, just for the heck of it, teach myself trig. And I will continue to excel. I'm going to learn, I'm going to learn Excel inside and out. I will teach myself coding, and I will get out of Waco, Texas, because I refuse to continue to take the blue pill. I refuse. So, this is kind of a little bit of a motivational. It's a little bit of a testimony. And it's a little bit of, do you know what I'm talking about? Have you ever felt that you've been short-handed in life? Have you ever felt that? Have you ever felt a dark hand upon you, trying to keep you from succeeding, trying to keep you from reaching your goal in life, whether it be people, spiritual warfare, finances, or not having the access like everybody else has? And it gets frustrating, and you just want to quit. But I have learned also too, and I'm going to go back to faith real quick, as there's a lot of things I've learned not to pray about at all, because I feel that it's not going to change. All I can do is stand up and say, not today. Not today. So, because I've been discouraged in my faith over the past few days. The situation that I'm in now is exactly what I went through 6 months ago. Identical. Which tells me that I am in a season, a repeating season. How many of you out there have repeating seasons? Say, for instance, every other year you struggle financially. In between those years, you struggle with relationship. Or in certain parts of the year, like with a lot of people, you struggle financially. in the fall. It's a changing season. Or during the summertime. Or in the spring. Or in the winter. If you look at your life, if you look at seasons in your life according to natural seasons of winter, spring, fall, or summer and fall, if you look at life that way, then you can start to look at the patterns and the trends in your life. And you can start to make adjustments. See, I started noticing this trend that I'm in now last week. Because it's a repeating pattern. And that's how Satan works. Because he hopes that you'll forget that you've taken the blue pill. But by doing data like this, even do data in your life. Keep a journal and go back and look over it. Mark it winter, spring, summer, and fall. And keep track of very specific things that you notice as you're writing it down, and you'll think back. Hey, I went through this time last year. That's interesting. Then if you're a Christian, you know what to pray against. And you know what to change. This time of the year, I always struggle with my blood pressure. I eat things, I become stressed. I become depressed. I suffer from anxiety. This time of the year, in the past, I would always drink the most. One, it's summertime. But summer's fun. Alcohol and summer go hand in hand. This is my first real summer of not having alcohol. So what am I doing to compensate it? Eating stuff that I'm not supposed to eat at all. So it's all about the matrix. It's all about the blue pill, the red pill, Satan, seasons, patterns in your life, your faith if you're a Christian, and how to change and get out of that rut by taking the red pill. So, y'all have a blessed day. I'm going to sit here and have my coffee, and I'm going to relax before I head out for the day. Until next time, subscribe to my channel so that you can get more of this outstanding information. Subscribe or like my videos so that it'll get more circulation. Leave a comment and share it with other people. The more of us that wake up and realize what's going on, the better we improve our lives and we start to make changes. Until next time, y'all be blessed.